Hello, everyone, and welcome to Discussing Diabetes Basics. I'm your host, Dr. Felissa DeRose. Today, we're going to talk about how to check your blood sugar. And I have two wonderful guests with me today. I have Kiana and J. Cole.
Okay, my name's Kiana. On social media, I go as Kiki Drew, and I'm from New Jersey. I live in Montclair, New Jersey. And
How long have you been living with diabetes?
um, wow, I just hit that 20-year mark a few months ago.
All right. And J. Cole?
Hi, I'm Johanna Ko. I'm living in the Philippines and I got diagnosed when I was 13 years old. At present, I've been living with diabetes for 19 years already.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started in showing you how to check your blood sugar. I remember I've been living with diabetes for 9 years, and I remember when I had to do it myself for the first time. I was very scared. It was emotional.
This is the most important thing in your diabetes management. It is to check your blood sugar because you cannot make the best decision or your next best decision without knowing what that number is. So here's my trusty glucose meter that I use. And you're gonna want to also have some either alcohol swabs or some cotton balls and some alcohol, which I have here. Here you go. You're always going to want to clean the finger that you're going to use. So pick which finger, put some alcohol on the swab here, and I clean the finger. So I'm going to use this finger. You choose which one you want. And I clean around the whole finger, but I'm going to use the corner because you seem to get the most blood when you prick on the corners. And actually, I needed to prep my lancing device. So this is what's going to prick your finger. Every glucose meter, there's all different types on the market, but every one that you have is going to have a lancing device. This is where your pricker is. It's a sharp piece that is going to prick your finger so that you can get blood out of it. I go ahead and I use a brand new lancet for every prick. I just set it in. It's not, it has a protective piece, as you can see. You can't see a pricker in there, but if you get close enough, I'm not sure if you can even see that, but there we go. Then I just take off that top piece, and that's where you're going to see the pricker. So I don't want to take the whole thing out. This one's a little bit. Here we go. Can you see that sharp piece there? That's what's going to prick your finger. I put the top back on the lancing device. And then every lancing device has a bit of like slingshot power where you just prime it, you pull it back, and then you know that you'll hear a click. You'll know that it's in place and it's ready to prick your finger. So being that I did all of that and I had just cleaned up my finger, let's try that again. One more swipe of the finger to clean it. This is the finger that I'm going to use. Like I said, you want to get the corners. All right. There's a little button here that I have my thumb on. I'm going to take it to the corner of my finger. If you can see that there. There I go. No blood immediately, but as I squeeze, there we go. Now, what I didn't do was prime my meter. Come on, Felissa.
I was just going to say, where's the strip?
Right. I have blood on my finger, but you should do this the other way around. I just turned on my meter. There we go. It's waiting for that blood that I have waiting. There we go. I'm not sure if you can catch that, but it's going to catch the blood. Just a little bit of blood there. And I should have a number come up. Hopefully I put enough. Ooh, I'm 183. That's kind of high. That's because I'm on live video here. And so that gets the adrenaline rushing because I was at 120 and I just shut up. So when I'm done, I take this here, which has my blood on it, and I always put it inside the alcohol swab.
Okay. All right.
Something I do. That's how I check my blood sugar. And I also will take this piece here and off the lancing device using the alcohol swab as well. And I don't continue to buy sharp containers to store this. What I do, I actually take old detergent containers and I put them in there. And then when I'm done, I need to go through one of my containers, my laundry detergent ones, but I put it in here in the meantime. And I seal it when it's to the top and it's filled up, and I leave that at my doctor's office because they take out the
Okay.
trash. So that's how I store all of the lancing pieces, the lancets, and the old test strips.
Why, thank you very much. And a sharps container is this for
Yeah.
people who do not know. So I have a sharps container, but let's get to you, J. Cole. Can you demonstrate how do you check your blood sugar?
Sure. Usually I'm on the go, so I like to keep everything here in a small pouch where I have backup lancets, I have backup needle just in case, and also antibiotic just in case I get paper cut, band-aid, alcohol swab. So everything I'll put in here. Then I start by putting on the lancet, same with Kiana. So I put it in here, then remove, that's it. And then I close it off. Make sure that before I prick, it's clean. So usually the most convenient for me would be taking an alcohol swab. So I open it and then put it. I also puncture on the index finger. And I'm left-handed, so I use to puncture my right hand most of the time. And then I rotate so that they won't get too. So after that, I put on the strip as well. I just keep on like this and then put on the strip because this has a timer. After a few seconds, it goes off. So I make sure put it on here before I prick and then prick. I also go to the side so that if you go here, it's not good because you might get bumped and you might use your finger most of the time. So it's not good. So it's better on the sideways. It's less painful also. So just get enough. Don't get too little because you might have to do another one. The meter might have error. So you could see this, that's the sign where you have to put on the blood. There's a blood drop sign. And then there, after a few seconds, usually I put it here like that. so sometimes it's just faster and then easier. And then I close it. I close this one and then remove the strip from this one. And then this one is the one I use. I put it inside. So just one garbage. And then I usually have this transparent one so that I put everything together because I do multiple checks in a day, like 6 times usually. So there, and then I keep it in here, put it there. And then when I go home, I just remove everything. And then of course the lancet, remove it. And then I put it also in the same container. It's just that best if you segregate because it might be not, others might, touch it and it's hard. They might be in pain also. So that's safety precaution for everyone.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And you are so right about the timer. Like, I feel like nobody taught me that when I needed to check my blood sugar first, and then it was like times out. And I'm like, what do you mean times out? It took me 45 seconds just to like prick my finger. Okay, so here I am. I also keep a pouch of things. And so I am currently using this particular meter, which is USB Also, a lot of our meters take batteries, and you want to make sure to always have extra batteries. This is super, super important because I wanted to show you on both of these devices, and guess what? I don't have a battery. So I was able to charge this into my wall. So that's something you also want to consider when you're getting one, right? So I was tasked with showing someone how to check their blood sugar the other day, and you all did better than me. Some steps I skipped over. So what I do, because there is a timer, I always put my strip in just a little bit so that it is like
Yeah.
there for me. Like I'm like, it has to be there. Alcohol wipes I do carry, but if I'm home, I don't use them. I just go wash my hands because it dries out the skin. And in this case, I'm here, so I am going to use one. I do carry them in my little pouch. So after I wipe, now the two of you, you always had in your Lancet, it was clean and clear. So in mine, this is my Lancet device, Gentile. Mine stays in here. So I will remove it. And here's what I do. When you have a new Lancet, the top looks like this. And when I have an old one, I cover it like this. That way, I am always able to see and to tell a new one from a used one. How I can always tell because I keep them in the bag until I can get a sharps container. And like everyone else, put in a new Lancet, cover it. And this device is designed to make it hurt less. I also use the side of my finger because this just hurts. One other thing is when I go to the doctor office, I also prick my own finger because I feel like they just don't care about my fingertips like I care about my fingertips.
True.
So I'm just like, you know what? I'll prick my finger and give you the blood. So here we go. It sucks it up and pulls it neatly.
I get scared too when others prick my finger.
Right. It hurts more when
It,
someone else is doing it.
it really does. So there I have it. And I'm going in. Got it. And now it's timing out. Let's see where I am. All right. Bingo, 150. So now here's the thing. I wanted to see if you all did this. You know, some people do this. I
Oh.
never do that.
Since Corona and the pandemic, I am not licking any fingers anymore. I don't do it.
And then put in your sharps container if you have one, or the uh, jug. I think
Yeah,
that's
I found, and this is something that a nurse told me because I said, well, I have to buy a sharps container every time. And she said, you know, she was also diabetic. And this is why it's so awesome to be able to teach from lived experience. But she was a nurse who told me, save your money. You could just take your old detergent bottles because they're just as thick. She's like, you use them, and when you fill them up, close them up, and then put duct tape around them. And she's the one who showed me actually how to store them and get rid of them. Mhm.
Yes, I
okay.
actually agree with Kiana. That's smart saving.
Yes.
It is. And so for those people who are wondering, well, how much is a smart container? So this one I got from a local pharmacy and it was only about $10. However, I discovered that it's going to cost me $12 to mail it. So if you think about like $25 that could actually be saved going that particular way, you know, you can save it. So yeah, I bought it for $10 thinking, oh, I'm gonna like mail, like I thought the label came included.
No.
It didn't. It was like, it'll cost you $13 to mail this. Okay, so now that we have each checked our blood sugar and we've gotten whatever number has come up, What do you do now with that information?
When I started with diabetes, there I was not on pumps, so it's very important for me to get to know my pattern by writing it down in a journal when I'm out. But when I go home, sometimes, most of the time, I type it on Excel and check and observe how the patterns change, and not just for my personal knowledge, but also as a reference for my doctor.
I use an app. I have to say that's one thing I don't necessarily like about going to a CGM, because when I have that logbook, I know this was before I ate, this was after I ate, and like I like the category. So the Excel sheet is really superb. Now I'm just like, all I see is a graph. Rather than like a hard, like 2 hours after you've eaten, this is what it is. But by far, keeping a logbook is important, however you do that, electronic, paper.
Thank you.
So when it comes to checking your blood sugar, let's talk about the price of checking your blood sugar and what that looks like. For me, when I was newly diagnosed, I'm not going to show any brands, but we know these are test strips. One of these for 50 cost me $89. And even when I had insurance, they only would approve one of these, which was 50 strips. And that was not enough to test twice a day because you have 30 days. So that would be 60 strips. So when we talk about when to check your blood sugar, we also have to remember the price of checking our blood sugar. So, as a person who was diagnosed with type 2, my insurance says you have 50 and you have to figure it out. And if you want to go buy more strips, it costs you $89.
It can be costly with checking blood sugar in the Philippines because we don't have insurance to pay for it. So like in my case, I pay like $24 for 50 strips. That's a lot, and there are various brands, but that's the one that I use. It's hard because if you're on a minimum wage, most more or less, the expense, 50% of your salary as a minimum wage earner goes for medication alone. Like basically, diabetes management can be an opportunity cost for basic needs, for your food, shelter.
You have to make a decision as to what are you going to do a little less of so that you're able to afford that. Having a routine is what helped me to have better management of my blood sugar level. And then after you set up that routine, you can now make it flexible, and you can pivot, and you can make more changes, because you may not need to check your blood sugar because you already know, you can feel in your body when it's high or when it's low.
Each of us have shown, say, a traditional way of checking your blood sugar. But nowadays, with technology, there have been some advancements. And as you can see here on my arm, I'm currently wearing what's called a CGM. And with the CGM, some of them you don't have to do what we just did, prick our fingers constantly or all the time. So since I've been wearing this, maybe 8 days, I have not pricked my finger, but I use my cell phone to see what my readings are. And I think we each have had experience wearing a CGM. How would you compare wearing a device constantly for like 10 days or 7 days as opposed to pricking your finger?
Since I live in the Philippines, honestly, the latest CGM we have would be the Medtronic and also the Freestyle Libre. But then when I experience it, CGM is really helpful in that I can constantly monitor without me pricking. But then sometimes I would miss also pricking because I wanted to have like a naked shower without anything on in my body. I really appreciate CGM. Both ways are helpful. So in case there's something happened, I usually have my meter on my bag, even though I have a CGM, just in case.
Yeah, I agree. I always have my meter with me. It's just these things knock off, anything could happen to them. I travel a lot. Well, now with COVID, that has kind of cut down, but making sure you have multiple ways is important. What about you, Kiana? Do you have a preference? Have you noticed a difference in accuracy between the two ways?
So I agree that, the introduction of a continuous glucose monitor, a CGM, absolute game changer for me. When I finally got it and I was introduced to it in about 5, 6 years ago, and it really helped me in monitoring my blood sugar. It made the self-management of diabetes a lot easier because just like you mentioned, you're not constantly having to prick. And I had calluses all over my fingers because I would check up to 12, 15 times a day. And I know that seems like a lot, but I was in a place where I just wanted really tight control. I'm so used to getting a type of feeling or being more aware of a feeling. I get like a tingle in my nose when I'm gonna go high or when I'm going low. There are certain things that I feel that if it wasn't for the CGM or pricking my blood sugar that many times, I wouldn't have paid attention to it.
Like, I notice that I get headaches often. And what pricking my finger a lot has allowed me to do is to know that sometimes I'm getting those headaches from high blood sugar.
Mm-hmm.
I would have never known that many of my headaches were simply because of a quick rise in my blood sugar can cause a headache. So this is important information. Many of you said you check your blood sugar 6 times, 10 times. Like, if a person's new to checking their blood sugar, like, when should they check their blood sugar? Any time of the day? Or like, can we talk about when to check your blood sugar?
Right now, I check my blood sugar when I wake up, the moment that I wake up, and then after 2 hours after eating, and then lunchtime, 12 noon, and then 2 hours after, also dinner, then after 2 hours after. So I usually have postprandial, and then I adjust from time to time, and then before going to sleep.
So let's say I'm going to the gym or I'm going for a walk. You check your blood sugar before you leave your house or before you start exercising, and then 30 minutes into the exercise.
Before I exercise, and then if my blood sugar is like above 200, I cannot exercise. It will go higher than the rate, then it's supposed to make it lower. So what I do, I inject first and then wait until it's like below 200. Then that's the time I exercise. Then after 30 minutes of exercising, I usually check whether it's intense or not intense. I usually check because my profile, I change my body reacts quickly.
At the moment, I do wear CGM, and I want to say I look at it pretty often, but not in an unhealthy way. I look at it, whenever first thing is in the morning. You're also going to want to check it right before you have breakfast, and then 2 hours after breakfast. And a good rule of thumb is check your blood sugar before you eat anything and 2 hours after you eat anything. And if it's exercise, you're going to want to check it before you exercise. And you're going to want to check it about 20 minutes into your exercise to see what's happening. And this is if you do not wear a continuous glucose monitor. So that means you actually have to do a finger stick. But if you wear a continuous glucose monitor, you may not need to actually do a finger stick, but you can just pick it up and you can just look and see exactly what the number is.
So we hope that you have enjoyed our educational session on checking your blood sugar, how to. Come back to this video as many times as you need to. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Again, this is Discussing Diabetes Basics with your hosts, Felissa DeRose and Kiana and J. Cole. Thank you. Bye.